Trump was campaigning in Iowa, and he brought this up, and I think it was just so brilliant. And it's a conversation I have with people all the time. They complain about Trump. They all, domestically and internationally. Oh, I don't like this. But stop for a moment. I have this conversation probably every 48 hours, because it's not every day. How can you support President Trump? And I go, okay, how can I support President Trump? Let's talk about where we are today. And then I talk about the domestic policy stuff, right? Interest rates, the southern border, fentanyl crisis. I could just go on. The rest of the economy. Okay, all of these things are happening, and I'm missing a bunch. And then I start looking at foreign policy. The Afghanistan withdrawal, an absolute disaster. I talked about this a moment ago. Not just to our own military, but to our neighbors that we never told we were leaving. How we left Afghanistan. We just gave up a base that's a check on China. Think about how close that is to China. We just gave it up. We spent billions and billions and billions of dollars over 2 decades, and we walked out of there, giving up a massive strategic position vis-a-vis China. Then you look at the weapons that we left that are now in the hands of terrorists. That's how we started this administration. What a disaster. And what does Putin do? He says, hey, that's pretty weak. So I'm going to go and invade Ukraine. And we do nothing. We say a lot of things. And then Hamas let's stop for a second. You see North Korea getting provocative, China getting further provocative in the South China Sea. Do you see the video this week of that B-52? The Chinese plane comes within 10 feet. 10 feet. That's what they're thinking. They think they can get away with this stuff. Actually, they did. China won't even talk right now. There's a potential meeting with Biden in a few weeks. Are you kidding me? Our president can't get them on the phone? And then Hamas starts firing rockets. So Trump's in Iowa, and he says that it happened for 3 reasons. That Hamas is doing this because he said Iran is reaping the oil revenue from the last sanctions enforcement. Our country's perceived weakness during Biden's term. And now the U.S. freeing up this additional $6 billion. Trump pointed to his own sanction enforcement in the unilateral withdrawal from the multi-nation Iran nuclear agreement as evidence that he would be tougher on Iran if elected instead of Biden in 2024. I was there. I was part of that White House team when President Trump said, I'm getting out of the Iran nuclear agreement. This is insane. And he did it. He didn't try to appease them. He basically said, we're out. You guys are violating this agreement. Why are we turning a blind eye to it? But think about this. For the first time in several administrations, Russia didn't invade anybody or annex land. They waited an hour before Biden, after Afghanistan, were like, all right, we'll just go in and start taking parts of Ukraine. Iran didn't do anything. In fact, like I said, he showed strength. He pulled out of the agreement. Hamas wasn't firing rockets. And he makes this case that all of this during his tenure, there was peace. There was safety. He protected Israel. He protected the country. I think that these guys feared Trump. They didn't know what he was going to do. They were scared that he was going to attack them or act unprovoked. Think about this. The whole Milley thing during their transition where Milley's calling China and saying, hey, guys, don't worry. Because these guys were worried about how Trump was what he was going to do. He kept them off balance. I was at Mar-a-Lago having dinner with the Chinese Communist chair, President Xi, when Trump went off to that room, the secure room, to watch what we had done in Syria. And he comes back and he tells Xi, as dessert's being served, hey, guess what we just did? And I think Xi's going, what the heck? Because that was how Trump was. He was like, hey, I'm going to show you we're not kidding around. He gets up, just leaves in the middle of dinner to go watch this thing happen, comes, sits back down and says, oh, by the way, you want the chocolate cake? Here you go. I'm going to tell you what I just did. These guys were worried about him. They don't have that same fear. They don't perceive American strength the way that they did. And I think this is a big issue right now because Trump portrayed Biden's administration as being weak and out of touch, noting that national security Jake Sullivan said that less than 2 weeks ago, just remember this, Jake Sullivan, this public thing, that the Middle East is, quote, quieter today than it ever has been in 2 decades. That was Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor of the president. It has been quieter today than it has been in 2 decades. Great job, Jake. Good job there, huh? Anyway, I think that Trump's making a big deal out of this. And you ask about, you could juxtapose this with what's happening in the current White House. Kamala Harris, former aide, is asking for signatures on a ceasefire in this conflict. Cori Bush drafted up the ceasefire. A ceasefire. What are you talking about? Israel got attacked. They have a right to go in and defend itself, to get back their hostages, and to retaliate. And these guys are talking about ceasefires? What? I mean, this is what the letter says. We must mourn the tragic loss of Israeli life targeted by Hamas. However, we must firmly and unequivocally reject the Israeli government's exploitation of these deaths. Exploitation? 1,400 people were killed. This isn't exploitation. This is retaliation. They need to stand up of these deaths to stage a retaliatory and genocidal campaign against civilians. Oh my goodness. That's what the left is dealing with. Balancing. What about right and wrong? Israel was attacked. They have a right to go in and do this. And that's how the left is handling. That's this administration. But it's becoming a bigger deal. I mean, I talked about the poll yesterday, right, of where things stand in the Republican field. Part of this is Trump's going out, like I said, making that message. Now you have Ramaswamy going after Nikki Haley over Israel. And the thing is that Nikki Haley was there for Trump. So, I mean, I just don't see it happening, but it's becoming a bigger issue. And I think Trump gains strength in this. He is gaining more and more. And we saw in the Iowa poll him go up while others were going down. Just Pence dropping out, DeSantis dropping several, because it's not hard. When you're running for president, most of the time you're talking about the future. I will do this. I promise you that. I'm going to make this happen. Blah, 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 blah. Well, here's what Trump can say. I did this. This is what I did. Look at my record. And when it comes to his 4 years, you may not like him. You may not like the tweets rather. He doesn't text, so there. But the bottom line is we were safe. Right? We were safe. There was none of this. And that's the one thing he can say nobody else can do.
Watch the First TV anywhere, anytime with the free First TV app. Watch all your favorite First TV programs live or on demand from your favorite connected device. Download the free First TV app right now and start watching today.